discussed the syllabus until now. Now we will see certain questions which have been appeared in mains examination, so that, see, reading any subject should require a plan. Plan number 1 is, first we have to check out the syllabus. Plan number 2 is we have to check the previous year questions. Plan number 3 is we have to accumulate the resources. And plan number 4, we have to start reading and approaching towards that particular concept. So plan number 1 is done. We have seen the syllabus. Now we are doing plan number 2. Plan number 2 refers to first question. See, there are direct questions which have been involved. There are direct questions which have been involved over here. So in that instance, the first question, see, as I have said, we have 5 chapters. From each chapter they are going to ask you a question. So from first chapter, what is the first chapter which we have in the syllabus? That is physical features and resources. That is what the first chapter is, right? So in that first chapter, if you see the first question, give a brief account of geographical features of Andhra Pradesh, 10 marks. Give a brief account of geographical features of Andhra Pradesh. So what all are the geographical features which Andhra Pradesh is having? That if we understand about the physiography of Andhra Pradesh, like we would be having Eastern Ghats, we would be having plain regions, we would be having plateau regions, we would be having coastal plains, we would be having deltaic regions. So once we understand about the physiographic divisions, these geographical features can be written very easily. So along with the diagrammatical representation, you can solve this particular question very effectively. So try to remember this particular point every time. Whenever, see, question is direct, but your point of understanding, your point of thinking should be very, very high. And the second question, they have asked about, give a brief account of drainage system of Andhra Pradesh. As I have said, in that river system, while I was discussing, I said we will discuss about the river systems in India. Like in India, we would be discussing about Indus river system, Ganga river system, Brahmaputra river system, and we will be giving special emphasis to the state rivers like Krishna and Godavari, and we will also calculate each and every tributary which would be originating in that particular Andhra Pradesh we would be seeing. So brief account of drainage system of Andhra Pradesh, what you would be writing in this question? You would be writing about Krishna river, Godavari river, and you will also mention its tributaries. Along with that, the local rivers, like it is not local, it is lifeline of Rayalaseema, that is Pennar river. Clear? So many other smaller streams which are present, you would be adding upon. But finally, for 10 marks, if you are going to write any answer, you will write somewhere around 150 words. It means somewhere around 2 A4 sheets, like 2 sides of A4 sheet approximately. So for that, you will write about, you will start up with Godavari river starts from Nasik, Mahabaleshwar, and it flows in this region, and it has this particular drainage area, and it enters Andhra Pradesh in this region. These are the important irrigation projects which are present on the Godavari river. Same you will be repeating for Krishna. Apart from these 2 river systems which are the lifelines, there are also some other river streams which might not appear large, but they have high amount of significance. So you will conclude the answer in this particular way. So direct question you would be writing here. So after reading that much amount of high amount of knowledge, we would understand very easily. These concepts are very, very easy for us. Clear? So either you have to write geographical features or you have to write drainage system of India. It is very simple. You can choose any one of these from unit 1. And let's see what are the aspects, what are the questions which are given in, what are the questions which are given in chapter 2. So if you see in chapter 2, if you see in this particular chapter 2, you would be having a question, right? Critically analyze the components and impacts of Green Revolution in India. Already I have said. In the second chapter, which was economic geography in Andhra Pradesh, I have said this statement, like we will see the agricultural patterns, the agricultural growths, the agricultural crops, agricultural revolutions like Green Revolution, Yellow Revolution, Red Revolution. So all these revolutions, when you read, you will understand what are the important components which are involved in green revolution. So if you see, if we discuss the important components which are involved in the green revolution, we will try to understand it in that sense, that within the green revolution what generally happens is like high yielding varieties are used, fertilizers and pesticides are used, large agglomerations of land has happened, large fencing land agricultures have taken place. So these all are components which are involved in green revolution. Then because of green revolution, what are the impacts which got created? So in some of the crops we had increased upon with the productivity, in some of the crops we had a reduction of productivity, in some of the crops there was variant neutrality. Along with that, green revolution has created regional imbalances between the states, because green revolution was introduced in only those states where highly farmers have the capability of transforming themselves, or farmers having the capability of transforming their particular aspect. So in this particular regard, whenever we try to understand, so green revolution, we would be reading in an entire approach. Then, so either this question from second chapter, or already I have said fisheries, they are very, very important, because Andhra Pradesh is known for one of the leading producers of fishes, as well as the shrimp cultivations are present. So all these aspects, whenever we tend to discuss, so these aspects are very, very important for you. Done. So either you can write on green revolution, or you can write on fisheries management and development in India. So how fisheries would be managed, where we have fish boats, what are the government interventions, how the development has happened, what are the states which are mostly dependent upon these fishes. So from those particular aspects, generally questions tend to come, and we tend to answer from those particular areas. Clear? This is up with the second chapter question. Now, what was the question which was asked in third chapter, if you see? So, third chapter relates with social geography, right? So, population, distribution, growth, density, age, sex, ratio, race, linguistic, all these components were present over there, right? So, in that particular sense, they will ask something on population. On that basis, they have asked a question. See, if you read this question, write a brief note on rural and urban population of Andhra Pradesh in the light of the census of India 2011. So as of now, 2021 census have not had happened. So obviously the oldest data which is present, that is 2011 data. In that particular 2011 data, what all are the aspects which are present, they are highly important for us. So you have to remember them at any cost effectively. Clear? So if you see, according to the census, what he has, write the brief note on rural and urban population of Andhra Pradesh in the light of census of India 2011. So what is the amount of rural population, what is the amount of urban population is present in 2011? Why there was a trend of shift from rural to urban areas? What are the major urban areas where population would be shifted? So all these brief aspects we would be writing. So if in that sense, if you don't want to write these particular aspects, so if you don't remember, because you have to remember the most amount of factual information over there, you can write on this particular basis. You can write this, like write a brief note on tribal population of Andhra Pradesh in context of census report of 2011. So for this also you have to have some factual information. What are the important tribal populations which we have? Important tribal population which are present in Andhra Pradesh. This we have to write it upon. Apart from that, what are the tribal population percentages according to the report given in 2011 census? So for this, bit amount of census, bit amount of factual informations are required. So that particular factual informations I'll be providing you. Don't worry in that particular regard. From that factual information, we can do it very easily and we can do it very effectively. Clear? Let's see what are the question which has been asked from fourth chapter, 14th question. So the question was like, in the light of All India Tiger Estimation Report 2018, critically evaluate the Project Tiger. Project Tiger is one of the initiatives which has been taken as we have seen a huge trend in decrease of the tiger population under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So whereby tiger population in that Wildlife Protection Act 1972, we would be having Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4 of particular aspects. We have that particular aspect over there. So whereby we have understood everything related with Wildlife Protection Act, that we will again see. Once again, I'll repeat those Wildlife Protection Acts. So in that particular regard, wherever Wildlife Protection Act comes into picture, in those aspects, Project Tiger comes into picture, because out of all the projects, Project Tiger is very, very important. So there was an estimate which was made in 2018 related with the tiger population, that how much tendency of increase of tiger population has happened in India. So why in some of the regions still there is decrease in the growth rate of tiger population. So those particular aspects, when we have seen over there, from that questions generally tend to come, and we tend to follow those aspects 100% clear. So critically evaluate the Project Tiger. So obviously when we read the wild animals, Project Tiger is common chapter which we will be doing. So these particular estimates report also I will be giving, and some contemporary aspects also I will be helping you in that particular regard. So if you don't want to write this contemporary aspect, right, you can write this statement, you can write this particular aspect which is a static question. Briefly describe the flora and fauna of the national parks in Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, we have Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. Hope you remember that. Hope you know that at least. Clear? We have Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. Along with Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve, we have high amount of national parks which are present in Andhra Pradesh, which are known for important flora and fauna. So while discussing with the national parks of Andhra Pradesh, we tend to discuss the important flora and fauna present over there. So according to my senses, rather than writing this question, you can write this particular question, because it appears a bit easy when you read them very effectively. Done. So from here you can write any certain question if you are in need with. Done. Let's see what aspect has been asked from 5th chapter. So question was like, give a brief account of factors responsible for environmental pollution. Already I have said. So this particular keyword which is present in that particular 5th chapter, that particular keyword has come into picture. So that particular environmental pollution is one of the most important keywords which we have over there. So what are the factors responsible for environmental pollution? In environmental pollution, we have air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. What is making the air pollution? What are the factors? Release of carbon monoxides from the vehicles. We have noise pollution. So we have water pollution, and like adding up of fluoride content towards that particular noise pollution. So all these aspects which are present, they are highly important for you. Done. So please try to remember them as much as you can. Apart from that, if you see, one more question on important keyword has been asked, that is, give a brief account of concept and importance of sustainable development. So what is the concept of sustainable development? Usage of the natural resources in the present context by thinking about the future, that would be called as sustainable development. Clear? So what are the important concepts, what are the important concept, and what are the important significant aspects which are present in the sustainable development process, that we have to write. So in these two, if you can write any answer, according to me, we can write better environmental pollution answer, because we have read it n number of times. So writing that particular aspect is very important. Done. So try to remember these particular things. So we have finished our process of second step. So first step was to understand the syllabus. Second step was to understand about how the questions have appeared in the past papers. Third step is accumulation of resources. So many people who are present, who are preparing since since decades, clear? So they know what is the value of resources. Many people, they just go to the market, if they see any new book, they will buy it, and next day again they will go, again they would be buying it, and next day again they would be going, again they would be buying it. But that is a flop show. So that is that particular aspect which most of the fools would be doing who won't crack the examination. So we are not going to rely upon multiple books. We rely upon single source of book. As geography is only for 50 marks, my principal suggestion is don't follow any resource. Every day the materials or the PPTs which we generally would be discussing upon with. So take the notes, take the class notes, that would be more than enough. See, these kind of direct questions, if you want to see, you have to read certain book to understand about Indian geography. You have to read certain books to understand about AP geography. You have to read economic surveys. You have to read the population census. You have to read the environmental geography. You have to read the concepts of sustainable development. Like, you have to read the entire, for 50 marks, you have to read at least 4 to 5 resources, which is a waste of time. So, only follow the class notes. Try to write each and every point in the class notes and try to make a crisp notes accordingly, so that it would be helping you in every regard. Done. So this was the thing. And now fourth, what is the plan number 4? Understanding the concept effectively and gathering the required information. Understanding the concept effectively and gathering the required information. So this is the fourth and final step. What is the fifth step? Is after understanding and gathering the information, writing the answers for previous year questions, writing the answers in test series, so that we can perform very well in the upcoming Group 1 examinations. So these are the 5 steps. Step number 1, we have finished understanding the syllabus. Step number 2, we have finished checking the previous year questions. We have got a thought process now. Yes, these are the particular aspects which APPSC or TSPSC would be focusing upon, as there is no one particular regular examination conducted by TSPSC. We can't guess how they are asking, but on the basis of APPSC, at least we can think, okay, these are the aspects which TSPSC would also focus upon. So you do remember, third step is accumulating resources. I have said no need to read any resource, follow the class notes. Fourth point is understanding the conceptual information and gathering the information. So that fifth step of writing the answers and test series would be very much wonderful. Done. So now directly we'll start up with, Indian geography resources. So as we have discussed, first we will start up with Indian geography. In Indian geography, we will try to understand about important concepts by seeing the definitions and all. So first we will see the locational aspects of India. So from tomorrow you would be getting the PPTs. For today, adjust with this particular board. Locational aspects of India. Clear? So if we check the India's latitudinal extent, if we check India's longitudinal extent, it is very much important for us to understand. So if you see the India's longitudinal extent, clear? So India's longitudinal extent in the Indian main landmass, whenever you see, it is 8 degree 4 minute north latitude, and northernmost Kashmir region, if you see, it is 37 degree 6 minute north latitude. So this is India's latitudinal extension. So 8 degree 4 minute north latitude to 37 degree 6 minute north latitude. And if you see the India's longitudinal extent, so which is extended until the state of Arunachal Pradesh, India's longitudinal extent is 68 degree 7 minutes to 97 degree 25 minute east longitudes. So India's longitudinal extent is 68 degree 7 minute east longitude to 97 degree 25 minute east longitude. So if you see India's north-south extension, it is somewhere around 3214 kilometer. India's north-south extension roughly extends up to 3214 kilometer. India's east-west extension, if you see, it is somewhere around 2933 kilometers. So why this happens? Generally, if you check out the degree difference is very much equal. So when you check two latitudinal degree difference, 8 degree 4 minutes to 37 degree 6 minutes and 68 degree 7 minutes east to 97 degree 25 minutes east longitude, almost the degree difference is same. But why there is valuable degree variant, why there is a huge variant while we are seeing in a kilometer wise, while we are checking the distance between these latitudes is, latitudes wherever you go, they are parallel to each other, but longitudes they are not parallel to each other. That's the main reason why we have this particular aspect of north to south extension being 3214 kilometer, east west extension being 2933 kilometers. So there is somewhere around approximately 300 kilometer difference between north south extension and east west extension. Done. So apart from that, if you see the southernmost point of India, that is not present at Kanyakumari, generally people think it as Kanyakumari, but it is present in Great Nicobar, that is Indira Point. The southernmost point of India, it is Indira Point, which is present in Great Nicobar group of islands. Clear? So the northernmost point of India, if you see in the Kashmir region, it is Indira Kol or Davdur Point. It is considered as Indira Kol or Davdur Point. Done. So the westernmost point of India, it is considered as Gaur Mota, and easternmost point it is considered as Kibutu Point. So there might be no question in the mains examination related with this, but at least these basic knowledges you have to remember. In preliminary examination also they tend to play a crucial role. Clear? So do remember these particular points. The southernmost point of India, Indira Point, it is located in Great Nicobar. The northernmost point of India, it is Davdur Point or Indira Kol. The easternmost point is Kibutu, present in Arunachal Pradesh. Westernmost point is Gaur Mota. Done. So as everyone know, just today I'll be discussing about these locational aspects itself. From tomorrow we will enter into the main subject, that is Himalayas and all. Done. So if you see in this particular region, what generally happens is India shares its border with international countries. Hope you know what India shares border with which of the following countries. India shares border with Pakistan. India shares border with Afghanistan. India shares border with China. India shares border with Nepal. India shares border with Bhutan. India shares border with Bangladesh. In such a way, India would be sharing border with many other aspects. So for preliminary examination, what are the points which you have to remember? For preliminary examination, what are the points which you have to remember is, see which states of India are bordering with Pakistan. See the states which are bordering with China. See the states which are bordering with Nepal. See the states bordering with Bangladesh. As India shares its largest border with Bangladesh, generally people think it as Pakistan, but it is not true. India shares its largest border with Bangladesh. India shares its smallest border with Afghanistan. Smallest border with Afghanistan. No need to remember the kilometers. Is it 4096 kilometer? Is it 82 kilometer, 82.5 kilometer? There is no necessity. Don't enter into those facts which are not at all essential and necessary for you. So see the Indian states bordering with Myanmar even. It is also very, very important. This is the today's assignment. So take it as an assignment and do it. Check out the states which are sharing border with Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh. And however, Indian states doesn't share border with Sri Lanka. Being neighboring country, we doesn't share any other mainland border with that of Sri Lanka. But between India and Sri Lanka, we have a water passage called as Park Strait, which is also very important. India divides up with Sri Lanka. With Park Strait. What is a strait? Strait refers to a narrow water passage which generally divides two land masses. Clear? That is called a strait. So that particular Park Strait which is present, that divides India with Sri Lanka. That is also very, very important for you. So, and hope while reading about the prelims, you might have learnt about the international borders like, so India and Pakistan international border line it would be called as Radcliffe line. So the line which is present between India and Pakistan, that would be considered as Radcliffe line. So you have to remember these particular aspects. Radcliffe line, very, very important. Done. So apart from that particular Radcliffe line, we have another line called as line of control. Hope you know about this, but you don't know the background story related with this line of control. So generally, Radcliffe line was a dividing line between India and Pakistan during the Britishers when India and Pakistan were divided. But later on, under some boundary and geographical issues, these particular aspects of Kashmir region, where Kashmir was, bit part of Kashmir was occupied by Pakistan. What actually has happened is Pakistani soldiers started occupying the Kashmir after 1947. Then the back then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he went to United Nations and he has urged to check into that issue. When he has come, already Pakistani soldiers have entered into that particular location, which is a dislocation. So then what has happened is United Nations, being a neutralistic aspect, it has said Indian government to redraw the Radcliffe line. So it has redrawn the Radcliffe line in Kashmir region. In that particular Kashmir region, the portion which is occupied by Kashmir, the portion which is occupied by Pakistan, that is called as POK. And this particular Radcliffe line which is present, that was in this way, but it was redrawn just because these Pakistanis have occupied the Kashmir region. So that redrawn line of Radcliffe in Kashmir region, which acts as a border between India and Pakistan, that is called as line of control. In the similar way, external aggressions with the Chinas have happened, because of which this Aksai Chin region went under the control of China. That particular Aksai Chin region which is present, that has went under the control of China. So generally the border line between India and China is McMahon line, MACMOHAN, McMahon line. So that particular McMahon line which is present, that McMahon line is redrawn. That McMahon line is redrawn. So when it would be redrawn, so the redrawn McMahon line in Jammu Kashmir region, it is called as LAC. The redrawn line between India and Pakistan, it is called as LOC. The redrawn line between India and China, it is called as LAC, line of actual control. Line of actual control. Please try to remember this particular statement. So it is very, very important. Clear? So, and borderline between, many people would be confused. What is the borderline between India and Bangladesh? It is also Radcliffe line, because Bangladesh was also earlier part of Pakistan. It was nothing but it was Eastern Pakistan. So absolutely it doesn't make much sense related with that. Done. So these aspects you have to remember, at least these factual informations, and many people who are seeing this particular video, they don't even know the capitals of important states of India. So don't be such a fool sitting in front of the class. Please try to learn them. So we have highest amount of states and union territories. So until now we have discussed about the locational aspects of India. So assignment from my side is, see the states as I have already said. Along with that, people who don't know at least the capitals of different states and union territories, please try to clear those basics. See, if you are reading for mains perspective, if you are analyzing certain concepts, it is basically essentially true that you have to have this particular base knowledge in it. So my sincere suggestion is, today you clear off all your basics, then only when we do analysis related with one particular aspect or subject, that comes into picture. Clear? So from the next lecture we will be directly starting up with what are Himalayas, how they are formed. So we will be getting the PPTs directly. From that PPTs we would be having the explanation how actually the Himalayas were created, how the Great Plains were created. So all these aspects we would be discussing upon with. Clear? So every aspect would be covered and every aspect would be dealt. So first specifically we complete Indian geography, then we go to state specific regional geographies. Clear? So thank you for watching this lecture. Have an awesome day. Jai Hind.